A new trade war is brewing, and this time it's not about high-tech gadgets or digital innovation. Instead, the battleground is far more traditional, rooted in the everyday staples that fill our breakfast tables and kitchen shelves. The fight is over milk, cheese, and eggs. Products that might seem simple but are at the heart of a billion-dollar industry and a way of life for thousands of farmers on both sides of the border. The United States, under the leadership of President Trump, is pushing hard for open markets, demanding that Canada tear down its long-standing barriers and let American dairy and poultry flood into Canadian stores. But Canada isn't backing down. With the introduction of Bill C-202, the Canadian government has drawn a bold, unmistakable line in the sand, signaling that it will fiercely protect its domestic agricultural sector. This new law effectively blocks American companies from accessing Canada's tightly regulated dairy and poultry markets, escalating tensions and setting the stage for a major confrontation that could reshape North American trade. The Canada-United States-Mexico Agreement, or USMCA, is now up for review. President Trump is determined to use this opportunity to pry open Canada's dairy market, arguing that American farmers deserve a fair shot at selling their goods north of the border. In a rare show of unity, Canada's Parliament has unanimously backed this bold move, transforming what was supposed to be a routine trade review into a high-stakes standoff with global implications. For decades, American presidents have criticized Canada's agricultural policies, claiming they artificially inflate prices, restrict competition, and hurt American farmers. The rhetoric has only grown sharper as economic pressures mount. On the other side, Canadian farmers and officials argue that their supply management system is not just about economics, it's about national sovereignty, rural livelihoods, and the right to set their own rules for food production. With Bill C-202, Canada has transformed its defense into an unyielding legal barrier, making it clear that compromise is off the table, and that the country is prepared to weather the storm. The stakes could not be higher. If this trade war erupts, both nations risk economic pain. Border towns could see businesses shutter, supply chains could be disrupted, and prices for consumers could rise on both sides. Negotiators are bracing for a showdown, and business owners are left wondering just how severe the fallout will be. The uncertainty is already rippling through markets and communities. As the world watches, the stage is set for a monumental clash, one that will test the limits of commerce, sovereignty, and the enduring relationship between two of the world's closest neighbors. At the heart of this ongoing conflict lies Canada's unique supply management system, a framework that has shaped the country's agricultural landscape for generations and continues to spark heated debate both at home and abroad. This system governs the production and sale of dairy, eggs, and poultry, three staples of the Canadian diet. It's a model that sets Canada apart from most other nations, and it's deeply woven into the fabric of rural life. Established decades ago in response to market instability, supply management operates on three foundational pillars: production control, price control, and border control. Production quotas are strictly regulated, ensuring that farmers only produce what the market needs, which helps prevent the devastating effects of oversupply and price crashes that once plagued the industry. Price controls, meanwhile, guarantee farmers a stable and predictable income, allowing them to invest in their operations and plan for the future without fear of sudden market downturns. But there's a trade-off. Consumers often pay noticeably higher prices for these products, a hidden tax, some say, that quietly supports the entire system. For many Canadian families, this means stretching their grocery budgets a little further each month. The third pillar, border control, is perhaps the most controversial. By imposing steep tariffs on imported dairy, eggs, and poultry, Canada effectively shields its domestic producers from foreign competition, making it nearly impossible for cheaper imports to reach Canadian shelves. Critics argue that this protectionist approach stifles innovation, discourages efficiency, and places an unfair burden on consumers, who are left with fewer choices and higher prices at the checkout. Supporters, on the other hand, insist that supply management is essential for maintaining the stability of rural communities, protecting family farms, and ensuring a reliable supply of high-quality Canadian food. The debate has reached Parliament, where Bill C-202 seeks to enshrine protections for supply management in law, setting the stage for a high-stakes showdown with the United States and other trading partners who see the system as an unfair barrier. While most developed nations have moved away from such centralized planning, Canada's system remains a relic of a different era, one that continues to shape the country's economy and its international relationships. As a result, Canadians pay more for everyday groceries, and the system has become a flashpoint in diplomatic negotiations, fueling tensions with major trading partners like the United States. Today, this so-called sacred cow of Canadian politics stands at the center of a heated trade dispute with the Trump administration, raising fundamental questions about the future of food, fairness, and sovereignty in Canada. In a bold move to protect its agricultural sector, Canada has fortified its supply management system with the introduction of Bill C-202. This legislation is more than just a policy tweak. It's a clear signal that the country is drawing a hard line around its farms and food producers, determined to shield them from the pressures of global trade negotiations. The law explicitly prohibits any trade concessions that could undermine the carefully constructed supply management system, effectively locking out foreign competition and ensuring that Canadian farmers remain insulated from international market forces. Dairy, poultry, and eggs, three pillars of Canadian agriculture, are now officially off the negotiation table. These products are protected from being used as bargaining chips in any future trade deals, no matter the pressure from trading partners. The bill passed through Parliament with remarkable speed and unanimous support, a testament to the formidable influence of the farm lobby, particularly in Quebec, where supply management is seen as a vital economic lifeline for rural communities. This legislative move marks a significant shift in Canada's approach to international relations. Traditionally known for its commitment to multilateralism and open markets, Canada is now adopting a more defensive, even isolationist posture to protect its domestic interests. Bill C-202 makes it clear, safeguarding a relatively small but politically powerful domestic industry now takes precedence over the broader principles of free trade. For many, this is a necessary step to preserve rural livelihoods and food security. In making this choice, Canada is betting that the political fallout from dismantling supply management would be far more damaging than any trade dispute with the United States. The government is wagering that public support for farmers will outweigh the risks of economic retaliation. But this bold stance puts Canada on a potential collision course with its largest trading partner. Tensions are likely to rise as the U.S. pushes for greater access to Canadian markets, and the stakes for both sides are high. With Bill C-202, the fortress of supply management is now legally unbreachable. The stage is set for a new era of conflict and negotiation, as Canada stands firm in defense of its farms and its food. Quebec is the heartland of Canada's supply management system. Home to nearly half of Canada's dairy farms, Quebec's farms are integral to its rural society. The powerful dairy lobby in Quebec wields significant political influence. Quebec is crucial in federal elections, making supply management a key issue. Bill C-202 received unanimous support, reflecting the political risk of opposing it. The system's inefficiencies lead to higher prices for Canadians and internal tensions. The political power of Quebec's lobby makes the system untouchable. Canadians subsidize this system through higher prices and trade brinkmanship. The cost of protectionism is borne by all Canadians, not just Quebec farmers. Historically, Canada has made concessions in trade talks to protect supply management. Bill C-202 aims to end this pattern of reluctant compromise. Past trade deals saw Canada grant market access in exchange for broader agreements. The law serves as a bulwark against last-minute bargaining. Washington sees Canada's past behavior as negotiable, despite the new law. Supporters of Bill C-202 view it as a necessary circuit breaker. By making concessions illegal, Canada hopes to force a different outcome this time. C-202 changes the landscape for future trade talks, especially the CUSMA review. By declaring supply management non-negotiable, Canada removes a key bargaining chip. The U.S. sees dairy access as a primary objective, complicating negotiations. Canadian diplomats face a stalemate, unable to offer dairy concessions. The rigidity could lead to a collapse of talks and potential U.S. withdrawal from CUSMA. The law also affects other trade deals, like with the UK, limiting Canada's options. Bill C-202 is a high-risk gamble, betting partners will accept supply management as off-limits. The U.S. may view Canada's position as bad faith negotiating, inviting retaliation. Instead of protection, the law may target the entire Canadian economy. Bill C-202 landed amid Trump-era trade aggression. The White House saw it as a challenge to Trump's America First agenda. In response, the U.S. imposed tariffs on Canadian steel, aluminum, and vehicles. Trump's tweets framed the conflict as American workers versus Canadian protectionism. Markets reacted with panic, suffering significant losses. Despite the crash, Trump remained defiant, prioritizing long-term trade goals. Canada retaliated with tariffs on American vehicles, escalating the conflict. The trade dispute spiraled into a full-blown economic conflict. The IMF warned of global risks, while JP Morgan saw a recession threat. The dispute expanded from dairy quotas to a broader economic conflict. The trade turmoil's real price is paid by ordinary people and businesses. Canadian consumers face high grocery costs due to supply management. The trade war threatens to worsen these costs. American farmers lose their largest export market amid the conflict. The integrated North American economy suffers, with sectors like auto hit hard. Tariffs disrupt supply chains, raising production costs and prices. The protectionist battle creates few winners and many losers. The dispute shows that protecting one part of the economy can damage the whole. The future of US-Canada trade is uncertain. Trump is invested in breaking down Canada's dairy protections. Canada is legally barred from offering concessions, creating an impasse. A prolonged stalemate could cause sustained economic damage. Economic pain might force one side to make a difficult choice. The future depends on whether pragmatism can triumph over politics. A full-blown trade war is mutually destructive, incentivizing resolution. The coming months will test leadership in Ottawa and Washington. The world's longest undefended border could become a new front line in the retreat from free trade. As the dust settles on the dairy dispute, there are broader lessons to be learned beyond borders and tariffs. The standoff between Canada and the United States serves as a reminder of how deeply national interests can shape international relationships. For Canadian farmers, the fight is about survival and sovereignty. For American producers, it's about access and opportunity. But for consumers on both sides, the stakes are hidden in the prices on supermarket shelves and the choices they find there. Trade tensions reveal the fragile balance between protecting domestic industries and embracing global competition. They show how quickly politics can shift, and how everyday lives are entwined with decisions made far from the farm gate or grocery aisle. As negotiators return to the table, the dairy dispute stands as a case study in resilience, compromise, and the enduring complexities of cross-border trade. Ultimately, the world will be watching to see whether Canada and the United States can turn conflict into cooperation, or if this chapter will serve as a warning for future generations. This is a placeholder script for Chapter 11. Please update with your desired content.